Welcome to this tutorial on music notation. I know this takes you away from the keyboard, but it's really important. So you can watch this video over and over again until you've understood it and put it to practice. So it's how to read sheet music. So we're not going to learn how to read Mozart manuscripts or Beethoven. We're going to be able to pick up and read simple music and adapt it to the style of play which I'm going to teach you in this course. And if you want to play any song by ear, well, you still can. But with this ability to be able to read music notation, you'll be able to adapt your style of play and sound like a professional. So we start with the staff. Americans call it the staff. In England, we call it the stave. They're both the same thing. Music's made up of a lot of symbols, the most basic of which are the staff, the clefs, and the notes. All music contains these fundamental components, and to learn how to read music, you have to first get to know these basics. So here is the staff, and you can see that it's just 5 lines. So those 5 lines create 4 spaces between them. You can see 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 4 spaces it creates. So we place notes are written on or in the spaces, and once we look at the next page you'll be able to see how that's named. So the treble clef, you can see by this one that the lines are E, G, B, D and F, and the spaces spell out face, F-A-C-E. This is the way in which you can remember them. There are 2 main clefs to learn. It says earn there, I must have missed the L out. The first is a treble clef. The treble clef shows us we are going to play any notes written on this stave with the right hand, and that all the notes on this stave are played above middle C on the keyboard. So that E on the line there is the E above middle C. They use common ways of remembering this. They've used it. Every good boy does fine, and face, obviously. But you can use anything you want if it helps you remember it. That's the best way of doing it. And it seems a bit tedious at first, but once you've committed them to memory, that's how you begin to read music and play it, just by looking at it, because you won't have to begin with. You'll be looking at the lines and you'll be going, you'll remember one and you'll go, that's E, so that must be F, G, A, B, because they're not going to be written like this. So if you, by whatever means, just memorize them and just get it into your brain, so that when you see a note written on one of them notes, you don't have to work it out, you know exactly what it is. The bass clef, well, let me just the treble clef started its drawing on that line there, which on the treble clef was G, and that's why they call it a G clef too. This bass clef starts on that line, which is the F on the bass, so they also call it the F clef. The bass clef denotes the lower notes on your keyboard below middle C, and they're played with the left hand. and the mnemonics, I can't even say that word, to remember. For this one, our good boys do fine always. And all cows eat grass. That's a good one. So now we're going to look at the notes that actually go on these staves. And the most common one is the crotchet. It's also known as a quarter note. And it counts, when you're counting the beat, as one. So a whole note, the one on the right, counts as 4. So if you was to play a note on the keyboard, you would keep your finger pressed down to the count of 4. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, release. The minim, or the half note, counts as 2. So when you press one of those, you would count that as 1, 2, release, 3, 4, release. So if this was on a stave now, that would be played 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see where that's counted as 1 now. For every second, for every beat, there's a note played. And you're still counting 4 all the way through. When you play these, you're still counting 4, but they're worth 2, a count of 2. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. See, it slowed it down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's their values. And that's important because that's how you get your rhythm when it's written in music. Music would be boring if it was all written in these. Imagine Happy Birthday written in all those. It would go da 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 da, just blah 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 blah. So you need different notes to make the rhythm, and you'll learn the counts. So the next one is like a crotchet with a tail on, and they count. It's called an eighth note or a crotchet. A quaver, should I say? That's your crotchet. A quaver. So when you're counting just to remind you, when you're counting your crotchet note, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these, unlike these two up here, speed music up. That's your rhythm. See, that slowed it down. When we did that, we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We really slowed it down. With these, we're going to speed them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you can feel the speed up of that now. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When they have two tails, called a demi-semiquaver or a 16th note, you count for that is 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and you can see how that speeds it up even more now. So from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and to 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E. So you can see that now reflecting one beat for every note you play. That counts as 2, so it's slowing it down by half. That counts as 4, so it's slowing it down by double. And these speed it up. Now that these are all drawn, you can draw them on music like that. You would certainly see them drawn on music like that. But when these are drawn together, they beam them. So when they join the notes together, if it's just joined by one bar across it, that's beamed one bar, that's equivalent to this one tail there. If it's beamed across by two bars, then that's equivalent to the two tails here. So counting there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E. It's the same thing. When we don't play anything, that sounds silly, doesn't it? We're learning to play the keyboard, and now I'm going to show you how to play nothing. It's all important for rhythm. So every one of those notes that we just looked at there, the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, the eighth note, and the 16th note, have an equivalent rest, which means you don't play it. It's written on the music in the place where the note would be. It just means when you're counting, when you're doing your count in your head, you don't play anything, but you still rest for that amount of time. So if you saw this one and you'd finish your last note, you would just be silent for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For this one, you'd be silent for 2. 1, 2. For this one, you'd be silent for just the one note. For this one, it'd be half that. And for this one, it'd be quicker than that. So these are shorter rests. These are longer rests. Slowed us down, sped us up when we were playing. These keep us quiet longer, keep us quiet shorter. So that's it for as far as I want to go with notation at the moment. There is quite a lot more, but I don't want to overload you with notation at this point. So again, try to learn that, get that in your head, and then we'll go back to the keyboard and start putting some pieces of music together. I've lied. I must have missed a page. It's just about the timing, really. We've already learnt that this is a stave and that this is the treble clef or the G clef, because they start drawing it on the G line, and that we play it with the right hand. But we've got some extra information now. We've got this time signature. So with this time signature, this tells you, the top number tells you that there are 4 beats to the bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a bar line, and then you go to the next bar. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that bar. 1, 2, and look at this. This is that half note, which is worth 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That still counts to 4. The bottom note tells you what kind of note. So 4 beats to a bar with crotchets, with quarter notes. It just shows you how to play it, and because you know that song, you can see how it works. Da 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 da. Counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The star's holding on for 2. The second example is timing of 3, 4, the signature. So this is saying 3 of the quarter notes in each bar before the bar line. This is also known as waltz time. So you'll have heard this in music like bum 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 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, and you can see that it's counting that in crotchets. over the river and over the river, and would go with a waltz rhythm. And tempo is the speed at which we play the music. So 60, a beat of 60 beats per minute would literally be one beat for every second you count. Ba 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 ba. It'd be 68 notes, which is going to give you two in that same time because there's half of it, and 120 would be quarter notes. That's telling you to play 68 notes per minute, and that's telling you to play 120 quarter notes per minute. That's going to be really fast. The words below are just Latin, Italian, Latin words to describe. I'm not asking you to learn them. Most of the time, the music you're going to be playing from what I'm going to teach you is going to be, you'll know the song anyway. You just want to play it yourself. So, congratulations, you're almost on your way to reading sheet music. Next, look at scales. A scale is made up of 8 consecutive notes. For example, the C major scale is composed of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The intervals between the first note and the C major scale and the last is an example of an octave. We discussed this in the last video. I recommend practicing the C major scale as much as possible because knowing it makes it easier to learn the other major scales. Each of the notes of the C major scale correspond to a white key on your keyboard, so there's no sharps or flats in this one. And that's how it looks on your keyboard. No black keys, just all white keys. I've also put another video up, if you watch that one, on scales. That's just reminding you of your fingering for both your left and your right hand. Now you can see how the notes would be written on them staves. This hasn't got a time signature written, but if it did have, you could guess, because of that bar, that it's 4/4 time, because there are 4 crotchets to a bar. And we've got a note missing off this picture, but there'll be 4 in there, because it has to finish on C, doesn't it? Right, that really is it. So try to learn some of that, get that into your head, and practice those scales over and over again on C. Get that C scale in your head, in your fingers, so you can do it blindfold without thinking, and you know every note on those staves. And then we'll get back to the keyboard and start the lessons properly. This is really groundwork that you really need under your belt before I can teach you my method. You get this under your belt and we start doing the method, you'll really understand it. That's just a reminder of what we did with the whole step and half step with the sharps having 2 names in that last video I sent you, and how they would look on the written music. That's the sign for a sharp. So that to that would literally be going from there to there on the keyboard. Same with that D sharp, would be going from there to there. Flats are the same. Only it looks like a caved in B next to the note. These are incidentals, by the way. They're called incidentals because it's next to the key that they want you to sharpen or flatten. But it would normally be written here in the stave or here, showing you that every note on that line is sharped or flatted. like that. So this is a little bit of an introduction before we get to it on the wheel of fifths, because you'll have seen these symbols on there. So looking at that cleft with a sharp on the top line, which is an F, shows you that you're in the key of G. 2 sharps for D, 3 sharps for A, 4 sharps for E, and 5 sharps for B. F sharp major's got 6, and C sharp major's got 7. So, not right now, this is just to show you it. Eventually you'll be able to look at that key signature, and if you haven't got the guitar chords above, which we'll always have anyway, you will see what key you're in. Same with the flats. And we're really there at the end. I don't know why I thought we were at the end twice before, but we are now. Work on that. We'll have a speak before we start the keyboard lessons on live video. Right, I just need you to get these under your belt. You've got quite a bit of time to practice until you're so prolific with them scales. You understand what notes on every line without having to count it.